This is the Authentic Sex Podcast, real-life conversations about sex, pleasure and relationships. I'm your host, Juliet Allen. This episode of Authentic Sex is sponsored by the Juliet Pleasure Wand. The Juliet is a premium crystal pleasure wand designed to heighten your sexual energy, increase self-love and self-pleasure, expand your orgasmic experiences, and connect you to your true sexual essence. You can read more and purchase your own crystal wand by visiting my website, www.juliet-allen.com. Stacey, welcome back. I am so looking forward to laughing with you again.
I simply can't wait. Our fifth episode together, I think this is.
Really?
Fourth on Authentic Sex, one on finger food.
Wow, that's a lot.
know,
I must
it's a
really
lot.
like you.
I think there's a lot of love there, is what
Yeah, I think there
I
is.
take from that.
So you were a guest on the first episode of this season. And I thought, you know what? Let's wrap season 8 up with you on the last episode of the season. Because I'd love to catch up with you in general as a friend and see how, the dating life in London is going. And also you have a lot to offer the people listening. And, we always have so much fun, which is important for me with my guests. So welcome back, babe.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. And there's like a little ping in my body that occurs when you're like, how's your dating life in London going? Because it's all gone tits up, babe.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Okay, before we go into tits up dating life, can you introduce yourself? Just a little bit about you so people get context. Aside
Sure.
from being, I explained in episode 1, we met, you were one of my clients. You then came to a workshop with your now ex-husband. I loved working with you both. We then connected, had a mutual friend or two, potentially mutual lovers. I don't know. I don't think so with you, but sometimes there's that common through.
I think there was one.
Oh God, we'll debrief that off recording. Potentially one. And here we are. Now we're friends.
Yes.
And tell people listening a bit about you.
Okay, well, I'm Stacey. I am currently in Portugal, but I live in London, and I work now as both a culinary artiste and also a somatic coach. And a lot of people are like, how are you doing both professions at once? And I say, I don't really know, but I am. So I feel
You
like
always make me hungry when I watch your stories on Instagram. No joke. Like, I'm always like, oh my God, that looks so good. I need to live closer to her just so I can eat what she's making.
You need to live closer to me so I can feed you on a weekly basis. I would love that deeply. I love to cook. I love to eat. I love to dine. I love all of the pleasure that food brings into my life. I love the essence of what it brings in terms of connection. And I feel like all of that also weaves into my coaching work as well. So yeah, I just love deeply connecting with people and kind of working out how we can experience more pleasure and sensory experiences in our lives. So that's a little bit about me.
Thanks for sharing. I love how you brought the two together in your finger food podcast. Kind of.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you're now juggling both career paths.
Well, I've been in the food industry for my whole life. So I've always had food businesses and done food styling and food writing and private chefing and that sort of thing. But in
Mm.
more recent years, after working with you and after studying with a US institute and going on like a bit of a different tangent, now doing the somatic coaching. So, yeah, it's an interesting one, like dividing my time, but also it feels so good to be able to actually do like one job where I'm kind of like hands-on, creative, practical, not on a screen, and the other one where I'm like, you know, going into the depths of people's emotions and,
Mm. You know what
going
we
and doing
could do? I could
things.
come to London, which I definitely think is on the cards. I've just got to convince Nick and run a workshop but
Yes,
it's like an intimate workshop and you do the food
I would love that.
and then I
This is
do
hot.
the facilitating. So it's like a
It's
pleasurable
horny.
experience in every way.
I'm so horny for this idea that we get for the name immediately.
If I didn't
That's
have
great.
3,000 children and a partner to consider, I'd be like, I'm booking my flight. Let's set the date.
I think we set the date, regardless of the children. They come.
Yeah. 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 Stay tuned. Stay
Watch the
tuned.
space, sweeties.
Um, okay, so you're in Portugal. So last time we spoke, you were in London. You'd kind of
Yeah.
just got there. You were pretty fresh. You'd lived there before,
Yeah.
decided to return, leave New Zealand, live in London to spice up your
Mhm.
life. You
Correct.
were you kind of had your fingers in a few pies in the dating world, and you were just saying how exciting it is. So let's fast track to now. A few months down the track, you're in Portugal.
I've run away. I've fled the
How's that
country.
thriving dating life going? Any Portuguese penis we need to know about?
You know what? There has
Or
been
pussy?
one, not Portuguese, but actually from England, traveling through. What I will say about what I will say about being away for a month, which is what I've chosen to do, is it's too long.
Okay, right.
It's too long in the sense of establishing community. I mean, like, sorry, it's too short to kind of be fleeting and being on holiday, and it's too long in terms of establishing like yourself and community and really getting my like feet on the ground here. So
Mm,
it kind of feels like I'm like in this space in between, which is like lovely. And I feel very privileged that I have the space to just genuinely dedicate, uh, you know, myself to my well-being. And I'm going for like fresh ocean swims every single morning. And I've done like a cleanse and I've
mm,
been meditating every day and doing yoga and like getting into my goals and like setting myself up for the year. And I'm like, wow, what a fucking privilege to be able to do that. Cause I mean, so many people don't have the luxury of time or the means or anything like that. So I'm so grateful for it. And at the same time, I'm noticing myself just like wanting to get on with my life and like be with my people and missing friends and family and my little boat in London. And
mm,
yeah, it's this interesting thing of like people are just so important. And especially for me, like that's where I get a lot of energy is the people that I surround myself with. And I just miss my peeps,
mm.
which is a beautiful thing and a beautiful reflection. But
Yeah.
to answer your question, yes, I went on a hot date in Portugal with a sexy man from Oxford, a physicist. He
Ooh.
was 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10 hot. But to be
How did you
fair,
meet?
on Hinge,
Ooh, yep.
yeah, yeah. And I thought, wow, I've hit a jackpot because everyone else, without being judgmental, it wasn't floating my boat, but he was floating my boat. And then
Oh God.
and then I arrived to the date, and actually, although aesthetically hot, hot, hot,
Mm.
there was no pussy tingles for me.
Mm.
I've reflected on it, and I think there's like with a 10 out of 10 hot person aesthetically, it's like
Mm.
they haven't had to work to be charismatic because they're hot.
They don't have to work, did you say? They just rely on their looks and they're not like a unicorn like us where we're hot and we're funny.
Precisely. And I thought that was a lovely time and beautiful to be with a sexy man and like a, cute wine bar while the sun is setting, eating delicious food. Like, not no. But
Mm.
also nothing came from that, which was fine.
Mm.
Um, so back to the drawing board.
Yep.
Um,
Just are you
uh,
self-pleasuring much or is that like a bit
no, to be honest, I'm
mm.
not, which is interesting.
Mm.
I did yesterday, but in terms of much, no, I'm not.
Mm.
I haven't been feeling very horny. I've kind of been feeling a little bit like disconnected. I think since breaking up with the casual sex partner
Right. Yeah.
that I talked about in the previous episode,
Mm.
mere weeks ago,
Mm.
months ago, which, yeah, I think oftentimes when I go through breakups or any kind of like transition in the phase of sex or love or relating, my body just needs a moment to kind of like, I don't know, just chill, take a moment, regroup,
Mm. Mm.
come back to thyself. And at the moment, that's felt like mentally and emotionally. And then I think over time, my libido and that form of expression kind of comes back, is what I've noted about myself
Mm.
and cycles.
Yeah, I'm sure, people will relate. Some people will and some people won't, but that's pretty
Mm,
common. Like if you go through a breakup, just to have that space. I think
yeah,
that's a lot healthier than breaking up and just literally jumping on Tinder and creating a new profile the moment after, and then masking whatever you're feeling with random sex with random people to attempt to connect and ignore or push down what's actually going on for you after a
totally.
breakup. That's so unhealthy. It's
Yeah.
so unhealthy. And so what you've shared is really inspiring and I really like that. And I think that's a really self-aware way to
Mm.
look after yourself after breaking up with somebody.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. In the past, I've definitely like bet myself up for not feeling super horny or juicy or anything when going through these phases. But I think as I've sort of uh, matured,
Mm.
I feel like I can see the beauty in it in the like winter periods. I really
Mm.
like, yeah, it's nice to acknowledge them and also just celebrate them in a way.
Yeah, great. So when you go back, you're living on a houseboat now, which I love. I
Yes.
love that. I fantasize. Nick says fantasize when it's daydream. I don't get it. Okay, I daydream. It just feels a bit better. I daydream about living on a houseboat now since you've been on one. Like, no joke. I'm like, imagine like just a little, what do they call it? Canal boat.
Yeah, a little narrow boat.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's the cutest. It's the cutest existence. I
Oh,
like, I can't even actually describe what it's done for me. Like, I miss my boat's called Peace, and I miss her so much. I'm like,
peace.
called Peace 3.
A little bit
She's
Byron Bay, but anyway.
very Byron Bay, but just plotted right in the River Thames in London.
What
Honestly,
suburb are you near? Like,
I'm in Victoria Park, which is East London.
nice.
Yeah. But I've had a couple of friends be like, "Oh my God, how's the boat going?" Kind of like in a funny way. And I'm like, it has transformed my life. And I think there's like elements to it. such as A, you're like I'm in nature, but in London, which is
Mm.
in itself a rarity. B, there's like so much natural light that pours in every single day. It's like very light and very, very lovely. And
Mm.
so I feel like I'm just getting like the vitamin D hit that you just don't get in like London flats.
Mm.
And C, it's my own space, but it's like so cute and small. So it's like really lovely to like maintain and and like D, it's such a simple way of living. So it's like there's only a stove top. I'm only cooking on gas. Like
Mm.
it's I have to run the engine or the inverter to like get power. I've got to go get my own water. Like it's like back to basics. And in a
Mm.
way, it's like made me appreciate the real simple shit in life, which sounds kind of cheesy, but honestly, I'm like, whoa, you've got like a running hot shower that you can just stand in for hours. Like I've got to run
Yeah.
my engine for an hour before I can have that, which is rare for me because I am like a utilizer of water and energy. Like I
Mm.
like my house to be a sauna and I like to have 3 showers a day if possible. So I've really
Yeah.
had to switch shit up. And I think
Mm.
it's been the best thing for me ever. Um, yeah, I just love it. And it's been summer, so that's been luxurious. We'll see how the winter goes. I might be saying a completely
Yeah,
different
it might
story.
be freezing on the boat in winter, but no doubt you'll update me.
I'll update you.
That'll
Absolutely.
be the next episode. I can kind of relate to the simple living because we just finished that caravan trip.
Yes,
And
how was that? Tell me everything.
yeah, it was so amazing.
Mm.
Leading up to it, in all honesty, I thought it could make or break me taking 2 children under the age of 3 to live in a caravan for 9 weeks on the road. So it sounded like the dream, but I was really real with myself leading up to it. Like, this could be
Mm.
fucking shit and I might hate it.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, oh, it's probably a high percentage that's going to happen. But it was the absolute opposite. So it was such a pleasant surprise that, like, the first day I was like, oh my God, this is so good. And then a
Oh,
week in, I'm like, it's still good. What the hell? And then 2 weeks in, I was like, I never want to go home. Like, I just
oh,
don't want to go home because it was the simple life. And
yeah,
because our caravan, it's really sweet and modern, but it's small. It doesn't take much to clean a caravan. Like
yeah.
everything's in its place. You have to be tidy. Otherwise you'd be living
This
in
is it.
like a bomb. And the kids were outside so much. So,
Mm.
if they made a mess, it was like out on the grass or in the sand. I don't know. It just was a different way of living and they were happier. Our
Yeah.
3-year-old was less violent towards our 1-year-old because he's just got that sibling thing of like, I feel like swiping her across the head. I might just have a little go. Like
Mm.
but he wasn't like that because it was a different dynamic in the family. That's what happened. There was more parenting together rather than tag teaming at home. There was like, we went to bed together, as in all of us. Like, it was like early and we're like, it was our dream. We're like, it's 6:30 and we get into bed because the kids are
Oh my God.
sleeping. Like, we were just like,
Give
oh my
that.
God, let's read a book.
Give that.
Yeah, I know. It shows our age, right? We're like 6:30 bedtime, heaven, heaven, heaven. Like,
Give
I
that to
just
me.
like click my nightlight on and ooh, who needs an orgasm when you've got a blue blocking nightlight and a book in a caravan? Like, wow. Well, I guess I officially hit middle age, right? Next I'll be
I mean,
bird
that
watching.
sounds horny to me. That sounds horny as
Oh,
fuck to me.
so good. It was so good. So yeah, we eventually came home because our 18-year-old graduates from school next week. And
Wow.
yeah, crazy. So
Oh,
I wanted to be here for her graduation and then her
yes.
formal. Um, but what we've decided is we're going to rent out the home and upgrade our caravan just so the sleeping arrangement's better because it's pretty small at the moment. And then we'll just continue on and see where it takes us.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
what's the point of just kind of working hard, tag teaming the kids. Like, I don't know. For me right now, everything's changed. I've got the dream, I've got the house, the car, the fucking kids, and I'm like, no, let's mix
Yeah.
it up. Let's live in a caravan and travel and be nomadic and explore the
Mm.
country we live in and see what happens.
I
So
just think
yeah.
it's so inspirational and amazing that you've managed to do that, and also that like you were like aware of the fears that were present there, and you were like, this could be really shit, but let's do it anyway. And then like you leaned into the fear and you did it anyway, and it's been like the most amazing outcome. And like, fuck yes to like living the simple life, and then like looking at all the benefits that come from that, like the behavior in your kids
Mm.
changing, like being able to parent together, and like all going to bed at the same time, and like just like the amazing connection that creates, like so
Yeah.
beautiful, so
And you know
inspiring.
what was great? It reignited connection between Sol and I. Sol's our 3-year-old boy,
Mhm,
because since Magnolia was born, and I think some parents listening will relate, like when that you've got it, like he was 2, he wasn't even 2 when she was born.
mhm.
And then she came in and I had to give her my full presents because she was a newborn and she was preemie, and it was an unusual circumstance too, on top of just a
Totally.
new kid joining the family. And so as much as him and I are close, he had to rely more on Nick. And I think our connection did kind of get watered down a bit because I had to
Mhm.
focus on Magnolia. And so what the trip brought was like it brought us back closer together again. And that's really special.
Oh, that's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Oh,
that was something
I
I
love
didn't
that for
even
you,
plan
babe.
on. But yeah. So yeah, that's
Oh,
where I'm at. And now we're home and I fucking hate it. Let's be honest. Like, no, I don't suit this lifestyle anymore. Like,
no,
I
incorrect.
don't want to
You're a
be,
traveler now.
yeah. So, I'm making the most of it though. I'm going to
Yeah,
um do some client work again, which will be nice just to change the pace a bit and connect with people in that one-on-one way. Um,
beautiful.
and potentially just launch a new course. I don't know, like get a bit creative and then
Stunning.
set myself up for the next chapter.
Is Nick fully aligned on wanting to live the traveler life as well? Is he like, fuck yeah, home is not the one for me as well?
He's aligned, yeah, we're on the same page. I think, in all honesty, I think he would be more inclined to just sit tight where we are right now for another couple of years and be like, okay, let's like build our businesses and
Yeah,
but I'm just like, no, like I don't have all 4 yeses at all four. I don't have 4 yeses to this lifestyle.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
not, no. So yeah, so he's in on it. Like we share very similar values, and we share the same approach to parenting and even like wanting to homeschool. So there's no like schooling stuff for us. It's like they're just going to be schooled alternatively. So we don't have to think about like, but we need to ground ourselves because he
Yeah,
needs to be at this school. We need, so we're quite alternative and we're aligned in that way.
beautiful,
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful. Amazing. I love this so
Um,
deeply for you. I
yeah,
can't wait to see
thanks.
Traveler Journey Part 2
Part
continuing.
2, yeah. Yeah. So let's get into like, I don't know how many minutes in, but we're quite in deep to an episode that we said was going to be short.
I know.
Into today, I just want you to share, and it doesn't have to be lengthy, on
Okay.
the ecology of thriving sexually. Like, I know this
Yes.
is something that you walk your clients through. I haven't myself experienced. Maybe I should do a session with you.
Yeah, totally. Let's book
Because
it
like
in.
seriously, I probably need it right now.
I mean, I need it. I need to do it on myself. Um,
So the ecology of sexually thriving, let's talk about it. What do you mean by that? Because that's not like a sentence I say often as a sexologist. But we are in the similar industry or the same industry. So yeah, tell me more. I want to learn.
Okay, beautiful. Well, so basically, I have finished my studies with a US institute called the Vita Coaching Certificate. And that's with this woman called Layla Martin, if you haven't heard about her. And anyway, I've got multiple sort of workshops and structures that I take people through in my sessions, but one in particular I've been using on most of my clients recently, which is called building an ecology of thriving. And so you can do it with your sexuality, you can do it with your relationships, you can do it with your career, you can do it with any sort of realm of your life. But I find it super powerful because it's basically like the intention behind it is kind of to discover what are the things or the parts of you or what are the things that you need in order to sexually thrive. Because I think a lot of people come to like a coaching call, or they have the intention to work with someone like you or someone like me, and they're like, I really want to be able to orgasm, or I'm not happy in my relationship and I want to get to this level. But actually it's like, that's beautiful and like good that you have this like desire or this goal in mind, but like, what does that actually look like? And like, what do you need in order to get there? And so there's basically this beautiful system, which is like a ladder system of kind of figuring out where you are and where you want to get to.
Mm.
Uh, and the system is based on a number of sort of principles, but one is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So you
Mm.
probably know about that. It's kind of like a psychological theory that's kind of like a pyramid model where there's like 5 tiers of human needs. Number one is like your physiological needs, so your survival based needs being
Mm.
like food, water, shelter, etc.
Mm.
And then once you have your survival needs intact, then you've got your like basic needs, then you've got your safety needs, so
Mm.
um your physical safety, your financial security, your health, your well-being. And
Mm.
then um the next tier is the needs of love and belonging. So your social connections, your friendships, your relationships, intimacy, family, that sort of thing. And
Mm.
then your esteem needs after that. So confidence, independence, recognition, respect, status, that sort of thing.
Mm.
And then finally, once you kind of reach that, you can there's your needs of self-actualization. So that's like fulfilling your potential, like your creativity, your self-expression. And I think a lot of the time we're like, I want to be able to sexually thrive, but actually it's like, are your like lower level needs met in order to be able to do that? And like, what are those needs that like, and how, and what's standing in the way of you having those needs met?
I have to interrupt this episode to let you know that today is sponsored by Pleasure School. Pleasure School is a monthly membership where together we study intimacy, conscious connections, and how to embody our true sexual essence. Every month, students of Pleasure School access members-only educational content across a wide range of formats, including written, audio, video, and guided home study. Pleasure School is led by myself, and I'm also joined by other teachers who are pioneering in the fields of sexuality, relationships, and holistic health. This is your chance to join a unique online school like no other in the world. Learn more and join Pleasure School at www.juliet-allen.com. That's JULIET-ALLEN.com.
And so
I
hence the
love
system.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So then basically I ask my client, what is it that you uh what would it look like for you to sexually thrive? And
Mm.
so, but that question I ask, and it's usually like practical things are on that tier. So I'd choose like I'd ask them to come up with two options of what it would look like for them to sexually thrive. And so
Mm.
someone might be like, oh, I don't know, you can answer that question. What would it look like for you to sexually thrive on a practical level?
Um, it would look like for me just really feeling like, firstly, just turned on by what I'm doing in life. So, like, I'm
Yeah.
feeling like that buzz that, like, in my womb and in my sex center, where I'm like, I'm excited to wake up and get into life, and that it activates that energy, but not necessarily to like have sex, but just to be like, fuck yeah, how good's today going to be? So
Yeah.
that would be thriving, sexually thriving for me, because that activates my sex center. And then it would be like feeling deeply connected and sharing a depth of intimacy with Nick that
Mm.
doesn't necessarily have to be penetrative sex, but more so like a heart connection, firstly, like feeling intimacy in that like model of like into me, you see. So feeling like really seen and accepted and heard, and same for him, knowing that he's feeling that. And then, um, making love, but just feeling like softness and stillness and connection. And that's for me right now what it would look
Mm.
like. And it doesn't have to be like every day for me at the moment,
Yeah.
but
I love that.
there needs to be
Beautiful.
quality over quantity.
Amen. Fuck yes. And it's
Mm.
so interesting, like what you've just shared. Like everyone has completely different answers to that
Mm.
experience, like sexually thriving looks so different to everyone based on where they're
Mm.
at, how they've been brought up, or what they believe is possible for themselves, etc. And
Mm.
so then I would ask, so then we go into the sort of the needs. So
Mm.
what would you need to know to be absolutely true in order to have a life of being turned on by what you're doing, like a real full fuck yes? What would you need to know to be absolutely true? And that's where we're digging into like the needs. So it might be belonging,
Mm.
love, respect, safety, any of those.
Okay,
What you need
what do you
to
need to be absolutely true? What do you mean by that? Like, what do I need to?
Okay, so for example, for me,
Mm.
if my example of sexually thriving was like, I want to have a cervical orgasm,
Mm.
what I would need to know to be absolutely true is A, I would need deep safety.
Yeah,
So, meaning like I would need to trust that person like wholeheartedly and
yeah.
like be able to fully let go,
Mm.
and be uh, probably more confidence.
Mm. Yeah,
Potentially.
yeah,
Or, also, I think I'd also need like deep knowing, I'd have like deep unconditional love regardless of the outcome.
yeah, yeah. What do I need then? I need um acceptance,
Mm.
like of who I am and of my um ups and downs too at the moment. I think since being back
Yeah.
from our trip, I've definitely felt a bit of a roller coaster of emotions, just acclimatizing back to this way of life and being in a house again and all that. So like acceptance, and I'd need to feel safe um to like express how I'm feeling. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, those two examples.
Beautiful. I love that. And then to feel this like deeply connected sense of intimacy with Nick, and like to be in your heart when you're in the bedroom together. Do you feel like you'd need the same thing, or is there something else that you'd need?
Um, no, I think it's those, things so that I can be vulnerable, and then I can like know that when we are in the bedroom, quote unquote, because who knows where it happens, but you know,
Yeah.
that would be the most common place for us. Or the caravan, but like, how does that happen with two kids in a tiny space? Let's not go there. We tried it on the top bunk. Fail. Um, so
Beautiful.
I need to feel those things in the bedroom so that if emotion comes up while we're making love, I know that I'm fully accepted and feel safe to just unwind in that way.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So then from there we would go on a ladder system together. So then you would share with me where you feel like you're at in terms of sexually thriving in your life right now.
Mm.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, so 1 being like you're not sexually thriving at all, 10 being like you're fucking out the gate, like you're a full fuck, yeah, you're turned on by life, you're having heart-led, connected, beautiful, sensual, slow, magical, magnificent sex with Nick. You're killing it, basically. Where do you feel like you're at on the scale right
No, we're
now?
probably on a
Don't have
6
to-
at the moment. No, I
You're a
can tell
6.
you. I would say we're on a 6
Yeah.
because of this transition back to like working more, parenting not together in the day because one of us is when one of us is at work, the other one's with the children.
Mhm.
And that creates disconnection in a way for us, is what we've noticed. So I would say the last little bit has been about a 6. So there's room for improvement there, which we're aware
Beautiful.
of and talking about.
Yeah. Stunning. And then where do you want to be on the scale?
Fucking 100.
It only goes up to 10, Betty.
10. 10.
Beautiful. And then, so I'm aware we need to keep
Imagine if I gave you a 6 out of 100 and you're like, oh, this is good. This is awkward. Buy a session with me. Come
yeah,
join me.
this is going to be a 3-day full-on immersion as opposed to a 1-hour session. It's going to
Yeah,
take some time.
no. Anyway, it's not that. Thank God.
But I am aware of timing on this potty, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up. But basically, where we would go from here is you would then, share to me what a 6 looks like, and then we would gently move up the scale all the way to a 10 and what that looks like for you. And as we move through the scale, like things in the body arise. So it's like sometimes you're like, oh, a level 8 like feels like X, Y, and Z, but I'm actually feeling a little bit anxious being at a level 8 or whatever. And so that's when we would dive into some somatic coaching, meaning talk therapy, sounding, movement, focus, breath work, meditation, whatever is wanting to be moved in the body. We go there. And then there's like this like really clear pathway of like what you can be doing in terms of like incremental steps towards actually thriving more in your life. And so it's a really beautiful process. And I'd love to do a full session with you at some stage when you have a minute of time where you're not, keeping 3 human beings alive and maintaining a sexy relationship and traveling the globe and running a full power business and, just life.
Feeding my dog. Keeping the dog alive. Yeah, I'd
Yes.
love to do
Any
that. And
questions?
well, not necessarily, because I like the sound of this process, and it is similar to how I approach,
Mm.
I guess, how I teach, which is very holistic, right?
Yeah.
You can't expect to thrive sexually if you're literally just going, oh, I want to thrive sexually, so I'll buy the sexy underwear and I'll get that, sex toy, and I'll book a hotel. I was
Yeah.
like, that's the Band-Aid. That's the Band-Aid,
Totally.
sweetie, as you would say, sweetie. It's the Band-Aid, sweetie.
Sweetie,
Um,
sweetie.
I don't like the Band-Aid approach. So this feels very holistic and I like it because it's like, well, if you're not feeling safe, then you're not going to be able to open.
Yeah,
If you're not enjoying your work, like it's all interlinked. If we want to
yeah,
thrive sexually, we need to be thriving in life ultimately.
totally,
Um,
totally.
yeah.
Exactly. Hence the ecology of thriving, because it's like the relationship between all the parts of you and all the things that are happening in your life, and how
Mm,
they all work together.
mm,
And yeah, I love that. I love that. And so, yeah, ultimately, you do the ladder system for what it looks like to sexually thrive, and then you do the ladder system for what does you chose acceptance. So, like, what does acceptance look in your life from a scale of 1 to 10? Where are you at now, and where do you want to be? And the
mm,
same goes for safety. Like, what does that feel like in your body in this moment in your life, and where do you want to get to? And so, you start to get like really clear on what those mean for you, because I feel like ultimately a lot of the time, like, our needs or what we want for ourselves is like a concept. It's like, yes, I know what I want for myself, but what does that feel like in the body, and what's
mm.
actually like standing in the way of actualizing that or realizing that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are the
Yeah.
two questions that people can ask themselves if they're still listening and they're like curious? What are those
Yes.
two? Let's just give them two kind of action steps so they can listen, write it down, and then
Beautiful.
reflect in their journal, or just keep driving and reflect when this episode finishes or whatever. Keep running, walking, whatever you're doing.
Love it. Question number one could be, what would it look like for you to sexually thrive?
Hmm.
And then writing down two answers.
Mhm.
And then, secondly, figuring out what your sort of ecological supports are. So, what would you need to know to be absolutely true in
Mm.
order to have the things that you are needing to sexually thrive, basically, or
Mm.
wanting to sexually thrive?
Mm. Yeah, cool. They're good reflection points there.
Beautiful.
Okay, so thanks for sharing that. Love it.
Pleasure.
Anything else you want to
Absolutely.
add? Hey, what is the latest? So you broke up with the guy. You said it was casual sex. So did it turn,
Yeah.
let's just go back to your personal life because I always
Oh,
love.
yes, yes,
So
yes,
did it
yeah.
turn into a bit of a relationship?
Turned into a bit of a fiance up. But, yes, okay, so very briefly, we went into that dynamic very much wanting different things for ourselves. I was very
Mm,
clear from the very beginning, like, I've just moved to London. I'm aware this is just a bit of fun, but ultimately what I want for myself is deep commitment and monogamy and a family.
mm,
And from the very beginning, he was like, I don't want a family and I want to be in an open dynamic. So for me, I was like, no problem. I've just moved to London. Like, let's live it up, sweetie. And then problem,
Recipe for disaster
oh,
with those.
always.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always. But the problem also was that I've known him since I was 12, and we have, like, he was the first person I slept with after I broke up
Oh,
with my
wow.
ex-husband, and
Mm,
he just appears in magical moments in my life, and also we've got like a deep friendship and loving situation, and honestly, he's just like the best fucking time. So, like, we just
mm,
were tourists around London. It was great, and the
mm,
sex was great. And then it reached a point where I was like, oh, there's like little moments happening where I'm like, uh, ultimately just realizing like I'm getting into this too deep, and still nothing's shifting in terms of what he wants for himself. And
mm,
then it just reached a point where he went away, and I realized it didn't feel safe for me anymore.
mm,
And up until that point, I'd been very communicative. We've been like, like, communicating really well, and it had been really beautiful, but I was reaching a point where I was like hitting up against a wall um in terms of yeah, just like I'm in too deep. My feelings have grown and developed too
Mm.
much, and I don't feel comfortable with this being an open dynamic at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not what I want for myself. And I choose myself. And so it was like really honestly the most beautiful conversation. We both sort of felt into what we wanted. And, he took some time. He's like, what do I want? And then, yeah, we just realized that we wanted different things. And then we met up like a month later,
Mm.
and honestly had the most like beautiful breakup situation
Mm.
of all time. We like went to um Chinatown and like had this like beautiful conversation about how like all the highs of our time spent together, and just a beautiful reflection on all the magic. And then we went our separate ways, and I just thought, actually, I just felt very empowered leaving the dynamic, because I was like, oh, like this feels sad because there's so much like, like sexiness and beauty here, but
Mm.
also I just choose myself and what I want for myself, and the love that I have for myself, and the knowing in my body that, something's come to a natural end. Like I choose that over it. So it felt kind of like easeful as well. Um,
Mm.
and it also just felt respectful and kind, and there was no um animosity or any yeah, bad feelings. It was just pure love. And I was just like, that was magic. And that is how things
Mm.
can end beautifully. And I
And you're still
hadn't,
friends?
yes, still friends. Yeah.
And are you having a bit of space? Like, obviously you are because you're in Portugal for a month. But are you having
Yes.
any intentional space after the breakup?
Yes. Yeah. Haven't seen him since that.
What
And
about contact with him?
contact, he has messaged me on my birthday and like
Mm.
once outside of that, but it's not communicating. It's not
Mm.
like, hey, how you going? What's going on? It's like a thinking
Yeah.
of you, XO
Yeah.
kind of situation, which is nice. But that's definitely not happening all the time. And if it was, I would be like, that's a no. We can't be doing that.
Yeah, I think it's so important to have that space after a breakup, just
Yeah,
especially if you have the intention of staying friends, just to
totally.
have like physical space and not be in each other's pockets, literally like texting or even following
Yeah.
each other on Instagram. Like for me, after a breakup, I'm like, okay, I need to communicate with my now ex-partner that we need just time out. And it's not because I don't love you. It's not because
Yeah.
I don't want to be friends with you. It's just that I need space to like recalibrate and process and detach in a way from what it looked like or what it's been so that it can transform into something new if that's what we want. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's worked for me and other times it hasn't. Like I've tried, like with my ex-partner who was a female, we really
Yes.
tried to be great friends. Like we had, the intention was there and we really like gave it our best shot and it just didn't work for us to be friends. And we got
Yeah.
to a point where I think I was like, you know what? This doesn't go well.
Mhm,
There's,
mhm.
still stuff there, or there's still attachment, or
Yeah,
so sometimes it doesn't work. And it's like, that's okay too for me.
totally. Oh my God. Absolutely. I feel like it's so dependent on the dynamic and where you're at, and yeah, the situation surrounding it. It's like I've had multiple breakups where that's not worked as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, this one just seems to just be all love and spaciousness, and
Mm,
um, not all consuming of the thoughts or energy. So that's good.
I love that. Great.
Yeah.
Well, Thanks for your time. I know it's early there in Portugal, and thanks for waking up early again to chat. And I
Pleasure,
really
my
love
darling.
you. I love your authenticity and your like softness and beauty and feminine way, and your love of life and food. And I'm still waiting for that chocolate that, you were going to send me, but then you ate.
I swear it's in the
So
mail.
I'll be at this address for another about 8 weeks. So that's enough.
And then I'll be addressless. Oh, you're frozen.
Oh, you froze. You're back.
Oh yeah, she's back.
You're back. So where can people find you? Tell us. Your Instagram is probably the easiest way to track you down.
Perfect. Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Stacey, Stacey .o.gorman, Gorman.
Perfect.
That's
All
it.
right, my love. Well, have a wonderful day, and I'm going to wrap up here in the office and head home.
Gorge.
Um,
Beautiful.
and we'll chat soon.
Chat soon. So lovely to catch up and hear about your travels and all the things. You're amazing. You're inspiring. Get
Thanks,
it, girl.
babe. And just for those listening, this is the last episode of season 8 of Authentic Sex. So I do actually have one other episode, but I can't air it yet. I can't publish it yet because I'm about to release something new, and I mentioned it in that episode, but that thing has been postponed, the launch date. So I'm just saving that one. I'm keeping it up my sleeve. So this is officially the last episode. However, make sure you're subscribed on whatever channel you listen to the episode, because when this bonus ep comes out, you don't want to miss it. It'll probably come out in around November 2024. And then you'll be notified, because I can't rely on Instagram anymore, because, who knows what's going to pop up in your feed or not. So yeah, that's just a little extra note that I thought, you know what, I'm going to say it now rather than edit it in later.
Done.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, babe. Have a wonderful day.
Bye, darling.
See you. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Authentic Sex Podcast. If you love the show, please hit follow wherever you are listening and leave me a review. And if you really, really, really loved it, please share the podcast with your friends, family, and social media followers. Doing this together as a community, we can make an impact and support the world to feel more sexually empowered and free, and just get the word out about these free resources. If you'd like to join me for daily updates and inspiration, you can find me on Instagram, which is at Juliet, Juliet _Allen, ALLEN. And you can also head on over to my website to join any of my offerings, Pleasure School, the Intimacy Blueprint, and you can also treat yourself to the Juliet Pleasure Wand at www.juliet, Juliet -Allen, ALLEN.com.